All right, we are live. It
Hello,
is Thursday, June 13th.
June 13th. Everyone, welcome to this month as we kick off the Lighting Torch series. My name is Candace Miles. I am representing the millennial generation. For those who are just joining Lighting the Torch series, this is where we have authentic conversations about different topics where we light each other's torch from generation to generation. So that is why I said I am representing the millennial generation here. So all my millennials, if you're a millennial, just throw it in the chat. Whether you're on IG, on Facebook, YouTube, just LinkedIn, drop it in. Let us know which generation you are representing. Again, I'm a millennial. I am a leadership coach who is empowering the next generation of Black women who are just stepping into leadership for the very first time into their career. But Cynthia, you know it's coming. I'm
All
also someone's. I'm also somebody's future wife out there. So, all right, Cynthia, I'll pass it on to you.
right, hello everyone. I'm gonna make this quick because we got a really hot topic we want to talk about, and I really think it's gonna resonate with everyone. So stay with us as we get through, letting you know who we are, and then we're really gonna dive deep into what we want to talk about today. I'm Cynthia Haley, and I am introducing the Gen X perspective. I am also founder and CEO of Transition to Infinite Possibilities. That's where the TIP comes from. And the CEO stands for Chief Energy Officer because not only do I specialize in coaching corporate professionals to elevate their careers, but I also empower my clients to elevate their energy levels for the opportunity to reach infinite possibilities, both personally and professionally. So, thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. Let's get into the topic. Enough
Yes,
of
it's
all the pleasantries. Let's get into this. It is time. Is it time to move on?
Mhm.
And we're talking about when to leave your job. So I have a question for the audience before we get into the conversation. How many of you have quit because you were tired of being sick and tired? And if you did quit, did you have something else lined up or did you leave with a hope and a prayer? Just curious if we have people joining that can resonate with having that feeling of, I feel like it's time to move on. I don't know if I can do it, if I should do it. I'm just
Mhm.
gonna do it and live off a hope and a prayer. Drop it in the chat or give us a thumbs up or something to let us know that you can resonate with just the topic in itself, feeling like it's time to move on. I don't know, Candace, me personally, I have felt this way. I have moved on from jobs from time to time. Um, it was just time, and some of it is just growth, and we'll talk about why one would move on, what happens when you get that feeling, and what to do.
Yeah, 100%. I think it would be everyone has probably felt like that at some point. To say that you have not, unless you are like doing something where you are extremely there's some point in everyone's career where they felt like it's time for me to move on.
Right.
I know myself personally have definitely felt like that before, where I didn't know. I think I was handicapped honestly from, is it time for me to move on? But if I move on, what does that look like?
Yeah.
I can definitely remember like not my first managerial role. I had kind of moved into a different department, and I had been there for about a year and a half, like leading with assistant clients.
Hmm.
And I realized that I love to lead people, and that was something that I was no longer doing, and I missed that part of it. And that kind of is where my energy and my joy come from, is when I'm able to
Right.
help people. So making that move to move on, I was strategic because I already had some leadership. years underneath my belt, I was like, okay, bet I'm about to go get this, finish my degree while I'm in this role. And once I'm done, I'm
Mm-hmm.
out. And that's exactly what happened. I was like, now I have the experience, I have the degree. You can't tell me nothing. At this point, I'm about to get I'm about to get what I want to get.
Awesome. Awesome. I think it's also important to call out the thought of leaving your job is not a bad thing.
No.
And no one should feel bad about it. I've heard people say, oh, I've been here for so long. Just even the thought of leaving, I feel bad. I don't want this person to feel a certain way or that person, or, fear of moving on.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make the call out that leaving or moving on from a job is not a bad thing. It can actually be a healthy thing. You know, um, if you remember, right at the brink of COVID, there was this big topic around the great resignation, right? And people
Mm-hmm.
were leaving their jobs left and right because they started to realize what's important to them. Whether it was family, whether it was flexibility, whether it was just simply peace of mind. I just needed a different type of connection that I'm not getting in the place I work today. And I was reading something earlier that said even in 2024, we're starting to see an increase in people making the decision to move on and apply for other roles.
Yeah.
Life happens. And so the question I want to pose to the group and our listeners and you is, how do you know when it's time to move on? How do you know when it's time to move on? I have my thoughts, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts and maybe even people who are joining us. If you've ever had that feeling, how did you know?
Yeah, I think you have to kind of flip the script a little bit. I'm gonna have a little bit of a radical approach here.
Is it your
Is
generation by chance? You radical generation.
instead of like waiting on the signs to be there that it's time for you to move on, instead maybe start looking at the signs of why I should keep going. And think of it from that lens of, okay, I'm instead of me anticipating like at some point in time there, the shoe is going to drop and it's going to be time for me to move on. But if you have, like, for me personally, I learned from someone where they said to have like 6 months check-ins, and every 6 months ask three different questions that you either answer yes or no to. And if
Mm,
majority of those questions are you saying no, then it's time for you to figure out your strategy to move on. But if it's half and half, you may just need, like, something may have happened where you just need to shift in your mind, something that you maybe need to heal over, maybe something that you need to get over, whatever verbiage you want to use. But something may have happened that you really need to figure out what the root is, because that's what's keeping you from saying a full yes. So for me, it, I started thinking, okay, why do I need to keep going here? Have I plateaued? Is there anything else that I want to do here? Do I desire to be in a different position? Do I desire to go lateral? Do I desire to go horizontal? Like, all of those types of things have to be a factor when it comes to trying to figure out, is it time for you to move on, and not just wait till you get into this toxic cycle of something that you probably have unconsciously done from job to job, where you're
mm,
moving on because I'm frustrated and I'm moving on to another job, but in 2 or 3 years you're gonna get frustrated again and doing the same pattern.
mm. What I heard you say was some soul searching and an energy check in, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is it is it truly the environment or lack thereof that's helping me really grow? Or is it something within that I'm dealing with personally and I'm carrying that baggage from job to job? And so it's not so much the job or the place of employment, but it's something I need to do for myself to either heal from
Mm-hmm.
or gain some conscious awareness around what is it that keeps coming up and interfering with my progress professionally. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. I like that call out, Candace. But some other things to really have some awareness around is your work environment, though. Is it toxic? Is that what's keeping you up at night? Is that causing you not to sleep well? Is it causing you anxiety to the point you're not showing up on the job like you want to? Some other things. Are you being developed
Mhm.
professionally? Do you have a leader or people around you that's actually helping you to grow, putting you in positions for you to flourish? And then, are your skills being utilized properly? Or are you being overlooked time and time again? Do you feel comfortable having those conversations to say, here's what I can do, here's what I want to do?
Mhm.
And if you can't, if the culture's not right, if you're not getting the right level of work life balance, and you're not being able to pursue what you're passionate about, what you want to do, and truly grow professionally, it might be time to move on. um, and be okay with that, right? And I say be okay because I had someone ask a question once, when I shared, don't let fear be the blocker for you moving on. And they were like, well, how do you let go of fear?
Mhm.
And I think it's really during that self soul searching kind of thing, right? Where it's like, start asking yourself those questions, like you said, well, what's holding me back? If it is the fear, why is that fear there? Is it fear of starting over? Is it fear, my generation, fear they're too old to go and do something different? What's really bubbling up, and then start to address those things, right? You're never too old to start over. Or
Mhm.
I won't even say start over. Like you said, keep going. You're never too old to keep going and try something different.
Yeah, because with you saying that right there, it made me think about SJR, Sarah Jakes Roberts. She had talked about where sometimes if you're walking in a circle, it can feel like you're walking in a circle. But until you actually scale that out, you're not actually walking in a circle. You're walking in a spiral that's going higher and higher and higher. It just feels like a circle.
Ooh.
And so, like, right, especially right now, it's
Mhm.
a lot of corporations are doing mid years.
Yeah.
This is a perfect time for you to have that check in and to figure out. I don't know why you were talking Bag Lady by Erica Badu was going off in my head, but it's really true. Like,
Mhm.
really, this is a good time for you to really self assess yourself and figure out, okay, one, do I need skill development? From here until the end of the year? Do I need to, does my development look like progress where I'm progressing in my career? Or is it time for me to switch careers? And
Right.
so, like, once you're able to answer those three questions and figure out exactly like what your development is, because yes, it's on your manager to help you kind of self-discover what that is. But once they help you put a development plan into place, that's on you to figure out and make that move.
Mhm. I'll also say, me personally, I've moved on a couple times, right, in different ways. And career growth and career pathing can look different. I
Mhm.
think you hit on it earlier about lateral versus, going up. And then there's even going down in terms of maybe job title. I hate to say going down, but the literal sense of if it's a job title, or maybe even pay in some instances, right? But those decisions to move in either direction, for me, one stemmed from growth, wanting to grow and do more. One time I did it because I really wanted to just expand my knowledge. I was in a space for a large number of years in the life insurance space and annuities. And I'm like, if I really want to grow in this organization, I need to learn a little bit more. I need to extend myself to another department and get that retirement piece under me. So I did that and I made a lateral move. But I've been in the insurance space for so long till it's like, oh, should I leave? If I leave, I'm starting over. If I go, do I stay? What's going to happen? But I took that leap and moved on, and it opened me up to more opportunities and more people. right? So
Mhm.
you talk about your network. If you stay in that bubble, stay where you are, you're potentially limiting your network or access to a broader network
Yeah.
that would help you even more. So I say think of these opportunities as going straight across, lateral. Maybe it's a promotable opportunity. And sometimes, if you do have to take a step back, that's okay also, because your why for taking the step back likely has a level of priority that's greater than the job itself.
And I think we need to normalize that.
Hmm.
We need to normalize saying like it's okay. It's okay, and I get it, from a hiring standpoint, you're sitting in that interview and having to answer to, like, that's a normal question for the hiring manager to ask is, oh, I see that you were at this position and you went here.
Hmm.
That's where all being authentic to who you are and where you're at in life. It could be, I just needed some peace. I know several people that have moved and took a drastic pay cut, but
Hmm.
decided to do that because the job that they had held, it was so stressful and it
Right.
was causing so much stress on them. And it was like, okay, I'm okay with taking this pay cut. Yes, I may not be able to do XYZ, but for me to have this state of peace, I know that's where I'm at right now. I want,
Peace of
like, I know
mind, right? Peace of mind. You
it's
need.
like it's peace because I understand, like, I know people talk about it and it's articles out there, but it's so real, especially in the Black community when it comes to chronic stress. That is still one of the number one killers out there that you don't even recognize. You may be having the symptoms and experiencing the symptoms, but because you've made it so much, it's become so much of a normal flow in your
Hmm.
life that you don't even recognize that this is actually more detrimental to me.
Exactly. And I've told the story before where I experienced Bell's palsy that resulted in a lot of stress, work related stress and anxiety. And that is also when I made the decision, girl, if you stay in this space,
Mm-hmm.
one or two things gonna happen. Either you're gonna drop dead somewhere because you're trying to go so hard for them, or you're gonna, you know, come to a realization at some point that it's time to move on and do something that's going to benefit you and give you that peace, right? And so, even real talk, true story, I made the decision to do something different. It
Mm-hmm.
was time to move on into another space, and then in this particular case, it was just a different role, same company, different role. um, so you got to make the decisions. But we're getting close. Some people might be thinking, well, when you do get that feeling to move on, what do you do? What action can you do? Can you take? You said it's mid-year, right? Like
Mhm.
being proactive, having those coaching conversations, whether that's with your boss or whether that's you hire an actual career coach like us,
A leadership coach.
a leadership
Look.
coach. Where's the sound, like the little sound, like leadership coach if you are in a position of leadership and people leadership, career coach if you're looking to navigate your career, interview prep, and so forth. Plug. All right, back to the what can you do, when you get that feeling. One, start updating your resume. As they say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. If you think that you're going to stay in the um, industry where you're going to need to have your resume updated and be back in the interview space, start making those changes. I tell people all the time, start where you are, collect your stats. What are
Mhm.
you doing good at? Quantify your success so you can start to capture that in your resume. Quantify your success now, where you're at and what you've done, so you can also speak to it in upcoming interviews.
Mhm.
Update your profile on LinkedIn. If you got
Ooh, that.
that old picture, take it down, get you a new picture, hire you a photographer, do something, put your phone on portrait mode, but update your profile picture on LinkedIn, update your header, that says who you are, what you can offer, your skills, and so forth, and start to update your professional profile and start getting active and build your network, connect with people in your network, and start to expand your network so that when the time does come and you get bold enough to leave, whether with a job or without a job, you've set yourself up to
Mhm.
be prepared
Yeah.
for that next opportunity. That's
Yeah.
my
I mean, and I guess just to add on to that is, no, everything that you said, what I heard was like strategy. Like
Mhm.
anytime that we move, like your first thing is your mind. Like once your mind is made up, you to eliminate some of that fear is to create some strategy, from a finance standpoint. Financially, is this the right move for you to do? If not, how many months do you need in order for you to make that move?
Right.
From, when it comes to your bill, I mean, that's all inclusive, of you sitting down and figuring out, okay, I need XYZ in order to make that move. But set a deadline. Like as much as much as we can sit there and say, hey, whenever it's time, I'm a firm believer, if you don't put a deadline in place, that that's not a goal, that's just an idea. It's a continuation idea that just keeps moving further and further away as the years and days pass by. It just keeps moving because it's just an idea. But when you put an actual deadline in place, now that it forces you to make a commitment and hold yourself accountable to making the right move for yourself. Like
Right.
all of that, like if you are in the position where you're ready to do that, then definitely do that. If you're the ones that are still kind of idling, I think it goes back to what you talked about earlier, Cynthia, when it comes to checking like what's holding you back, like what's really holding you back, and maybe doing some soul searching to figure out what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. You do an energy check, right? Like I talk about really understanding what are those limiting beliefs, what are
Mhm.
those blockers, what are those things that are getting in the way of your progress, right? Are you telling yourself, well, I've been here for 14 years. It's no need for me to move on now. I might as well just stick it out. Right? What so if that's you and you choose to stick it out, ask yourself, am I happy? Am I sleeping good at night? Is it giving me the balance I need both personally and professionally? If you stick it out, are you happy with that decision? If you feel like, golly, man, I just feel stuck, but I'm just gonna stay here. Stuck is not a good feeling.
Mm-mm.
Stuck is not a good feeling. It's like that gorilla glue. That don't feel good. If you stuck like gorilla glue and you trying to get out.
I'm telling you, some of the stuff you said in my mind is a
Well,
squirrel. It's like,
I would say I've been singing Bag Lady in my head ever since you said it. So I'm literally sitting here singing Bag Lady because you carrying them bags and you gonna miss your bus, right? So um if you just join in, we were just talking about how you're carrying all that weight, that dead weight of being in a place that no longer serves you and being afraid to just move on and do something different. um we're getting close to wrapping up. Gosh, time goes by so fast when we do these
it does.
fireside chats. We want to make sure we're feeding the people and we're lighting their torch and giving them good nuggets to help them professionally and personally.
Yeah. And I just want to also to, before because I know we're about to get into our little tips section of the chat, is for like I mentioned earlier, like right now is right around time, mid years and everything like that is happening. For anyone that is like, this is your first time as a manager doing that, understand that it is okay for you to be the conduit for your team to let them know from, hey, it's time for them to move. It
Mm-hmm.
is okay for you to have those type of conversations, because there are a lot of articles that show out there, especially when it comes to the Gen Z generation, and some of the millennials, because I know I'm one of them. Being transparent and being authentic, and also to being able to show them what, purpose, what purpose that they have, is going to help drive some of those people that are kind of just stuck, where
Mm-hmm.
they don't even necessarily like know what to do.
Yeah. And make it an ongoing conversation, not just a one thing.
Yeah. So you want me to kick us off?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I feel like I'm on one with this one today.
Go for it, girl.
Uh, so this is a part of the conversation where we light each other's torch from generation to generation. And I'm gonna take one from your book today.
Mm.
And I'm going to say it's a little bit maybe out of the box, or maybe things that we really don't think about. But when Sunday night hits and you have to go to work the next day, if you feel anxiety, nauseous, ill, whatever your body is telling you, because your body is telling you something that your mind is feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to light your torch by saying, hey, pay attention to your body. That's a huge indicator that you're going and you're about to get into an environment that's not healthy for you at this point in time, is to leave. But on the flip side, if you feel joy, if you are happy, if you are skipping, doing your dance, that's your job. You don't need to go nowhere.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that is okay. Awesome. Thank you for that, Candace. I feel lit with
Hey,
that one. All right. So my take at lighting the torch is simple. Learn to get comfortable being uncomfortable. When it's time to move on, it's going to feel very uncomfortable. It's going to feel new. It's going to feel like, do I know what I'm doing? Is this truly the right thing? There may be moments you question yourself or you doubt yourself. Trust the process. Trust the process. Believe that you have what it takes and that there's another side of this thing where you will meet someone else. You will engage with a new team that's really going to embrace all that you have to offer. And it's not starting over. You are going to keep going, like Candace said earlier. And I
oh,
really like
look,
that.
look at my shirt. What is this? This is your reminder.
Yes. I didn't even know that, but yes, keep going. Keep going for sure. So we are at time. We want to thank you all again for joining us and supporting us on this journey as we
Mhm.
continue to light the torch for you and every generation out there. As you can see on the screen, we have our handles where you can follow us on social media networks. We're both definitely active on LinkedIn, and that is a professional network, and we want you to build your career and grow professionally as well. So thank you again for joining us. We'll be back every 2 Thursdays. I think I'm missing something.
You
Candace.
are, because it's on Sunday. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Happy
Oh,
Juneteenth. Want to
right.
say all of that
Gotta
since
call
we are.
that out.
I
Gotta,
was like, we gotta say
gotta.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers, and to those who are like me, who your father is not here. Understand that whoever that person is in your life, to go and let them know how appreciative that they were able to step into the foots of someone who is gone.
Much
But
respect. Much respect.
yeah,
Thank you for calling that out. It is important. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Father's Day. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Make it a great day.
Bye.
Bye.